What's up, guys? So today we're going to be doing another range day with my JagerWorks John Wick Glock 34, and I'm going to kind of add some stuff that maybe I didn't do last time, and I just want to explain maybe why I love this gun and why you guys see me shoot it so much. So the John Wick Glock 34 is essentially a Gen 5 34, which has the 5 1/4 inch barrel. It is the second longest 9mm Glock. So it's like a Glock 17 frame with a longer barrel and slide. Then I had JagerWorks mill down the slide till it's the same weight as the 17. So it cycles just as fast as a 17, but it has increased weight out front, lowering the recoil, and also increased velocity on those rounds for better penetration and better bullet expansion. Now, when I have a home defense gun, I'm not concerned with length of barrel as far as being too long, because you don't need to do anything with it. You're not shoving it down your pants, you're not hitting yourself in the dick with it. So you might as well have extra accuracy and sight radius when it comes to the iron sights, but mostly better velocity and bullet expansion, which is extremely important for the 9mm caliber, because it's kind of on the low end of effectiveness. Even though I love it so much, the reality is it needs all the help it can get, so a little longer barrel, it helps with that. Now, I don't go to the 17L because they're a lot harder to find, and because it's a little too unwieldy. I find this is like the perfect match for me. That doesn't necessarily mean it's the perfect match for you, but it's the perfect match for me. We'll throw down some more information here in a minute, but let's shoot some groups with it quick and confirm our SRO 0. All right, so we're over here at the 10-yard line, and I just grabbed a magazine out of the bag that probably hasn't been used in like a year and a half. It's been loaded for like a year, so hopefully we don't have any reliability issues. Well, that was a shit group, but it's a real group, so let's go take a look. Those two were good. That second one I pulled like a mother, you see that? That's bad trigger control, pulling down on the gun, dropping the gun, and I dropped it low. That's my first group. Let's walk back 10 yards again and do another one here. Not too bad. Try one more before we walk down. All right, so I think we're zeroed. All right, so in the modern age with PPQ, PDP, VP9, Canic series, a lot of guns that come with features that are arguably better than the standard Glock, even the M&P, CZP 10 series, there's a lot of guns that compete or exceed the Glock. So why choose a Glock in 2021? Well, first off, if you have a lot of experience on one, is a good reason to get one. Another reason is aftermarket parts is a big deal. As you can see, this one is certainly not stock. This one in particular is running a Timney trigger, JagerWorks slide, extended magazine release, silicone carbide job, and some Shield +5 base plates, upping the capacity to 22. Which is very respectable. But if I want to, I can go to the 33 round magazines as well. Now, another thing I like about Glock is going to be the magazine availability. Number one, not only does Glock make some pretty excellent mags, but there's also tons of aftermarket magazines available as well from some pretty decent, reputable manufacturers. Not only are they good, but they're cheap and they're available at almost every gun store, which is really nice. And tons of other guns run Glock mags as well, so it's pretty easy to stockpile these bad boys. Now, another thing I like about the magazines is they come with the most availability of aftermarket base plates as well, so you can kind of get the ones you like. I really like these Shield Mag Plus 5s. I've had a ton of different kinds. I usually err on the side of the standard factory mags or these. These add a little bit of weight, but not a lot, so they're more likely to fall out of the gun. That's one of the problems with Glock, is that the magazines don't always come out when you want them to. That's why people do the John Wick flip and shit like that, because they sometimes get stuck because they're polymer on a polymer magazine release. However, mine is now metal. Another super sweet thing about the Glock is that it's super customizable, more so than any other gun, including the 1911 these days, and it doesn't skimp on speed either. Still more than fast. Doesn't quite have that 1911 trigger, but it's still real fast. Now we're going to do my walk back drill here and talk a little bit about some things to avoid as far as customizing your Glock. So one of the things that I don't do is I don't customize the barrel generally unless I want a threaded barrel. And the reason for that is that they're mostly shit. I'm not going to lie, I've had tons of them. Ones I like are Agency Arms. Some other ones I like, that's about it. Honestly, the ones that I trust. Tons of manufacturers make good ones. However, I've had a bunch that have had some issues. And in my personal experience, there's not a lot of parts that can cause reliability issues better than changing a barrel or a recoil spring for that matter. Now, I do change my recoil spring to a 15 pound. It's a little bit less, and I do put generally steel guide rods in them. Not because I think the guide rod is going to break, but because it adds a little weight out to the front, and that is something a Glock tends to lack, and it helps out with recoil control. So, another thing that I don't really like to change is any of the internals in the slide. And the reason for that is even though Zev parts kits are relatively cheap and they can fix your trigger issues, make it a little bit lighter, and then help not expose problems with your trigger finger, because that causes the most reliability issues of anything I've seen besides maybe the recoil spring or the barrel. Causes light strikes and all kinds of fun stuff with different types of ammo. And if you run a lot of different types of ammo, especially in 2021, that can be a real catastrophe if you go to the range and your gun doesn't cycle or function any of the ammunition that you're using. So we'll just keep going back here until I miss. Alright, so first miss there at about 80 yards. Just walk backwards 5 yards. About 85 now. We'll go for this target, it's a little easier to see. Alright, so we'll keep going back. Trying to step in any of the goddamn ground squirrel holes. Alright, so continuous video there, walking all the way back, 5 straight rounds at 90 yards. When people say Glocks are not accurate, it's because they are not accurate. Alright, so in summary, the Glock 34 is awesome still, and if you want one, by all means, go get one. There's a lot of advantages to them. The real downside to them, though, is that to get really the functionality that you want out of it, you're going to have to do some aftermarket shit, and that always adds more cost. I mean, if you're going to get a Glock 34, you don't got to do a slide job and all that business. You won't notice much. I mean, most of this was cosmetic. I just like the way it looked in the movie. It does help the tracking a little bit, but not that much. If I was going to do anything, I'd pop one of these Timney triggers in there, and I'd pop an optic on it and call it a fucking day. After that, maybe put some co-witness sights on it. Those are pretty important if you have a shitty optic. If you have a good optic, not so much. And I like a lot of traction on my gun. That's free. basically. You can do a stipple job on it yourself, even though it looks like shit. If it runs well, who cares? However, silicone carbide, in my personal opinion, is better. And in that case, you can get an epoxy kit on Amazon for like 10 bucks and put it on there. I put all of mine on there myself. Pretty easy to do. You just cover it with epoxy, drop the silicone carbide on it, and you have the most aggressive grip that you can get without some 25 lines per inch checkering, and you're gonna have a pretty badass gun. Now, some of the advantages of Glock over some steel frame guns, for example, are gonna be lightweight. So the damn gun shoots extremely well. Hopefully I tried to show that in the video. I know, I understand I have my limitations, but the gun itself runs extremely well, and it does that for about 30 freaking ounces. This one's about, unloaded, I think it's like 28 ounces, which is extremely impressive for the 5 1/4 inch barrel with all that bullet expansion velocity, plus the possible 34 round capacity. Size, weight taken into account, plus availability, plus reliability, plus track record and accuracy. It's hard not to imagine that this is still the best gun for the money on the market. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. Please support your local homeless shelters. Remember to recycle. I'll check you later.